Scrappy friends, welcome back to my channel. Helen here, thanks for joining me today. So today we have inspiration, and today's inspiration from Instagram is scrapping_gran, and it's this layout. The background paper reminded me of something that I painted once, whereas this has got like the gold doodles over it or stamps over it. I turned the painted circles or circle-ish, circular-ish paint spots into flowers, so it reminded me of that layout and really enjoyed doing that background. So I'm going to do this, something similar to this background. I'm going to use the Vicki Boutin paints, which were from Printshop, I think, or Where To Next, and use one of those collections, one of the older Vicki collections. I'm going to be scrapping photos from Scotland 2025, so they're all printed and in a box ready to go, and they are the photos from going for breakfast on day 2. So that's the view from the top of the steps behind the bar where we went for breakfast. So that's what I'm scrapping. Before we get to that, if you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. Also think about hitting the notification bell so you know when I post something new. And if you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and let me know in the comments what you've enjoyed. Not sure what to say, just pop an emoji for the sake of engagement. That all out the way, let's get scrapping.
Okay, so I just want to apologise first up for what the camera's about to do. It does this a couple of times and then it settles. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with it, but it doesn't do it very many more times. I've sort of put the paints out and I'm just putting water on to activate the pigment. So the idea is you let the pigment soak in, the water soak into the pigment a little bit, and then you're mixing up the pigment with the mica to activate the watercolours. So I don't do it very well first of all on this purple one, but I do go back in and add another layer when that's dried a bit. So I decided to try a wider brush just to do the circles instead of that smaller rounded one. Happier with these. I don't use the gold paint out of this collection because I'm going to be using gold embossing powder for stamping. So I do just use the 4 colours of paints and miss the gold out. So here I am just adding some green circles, making sure I'm doing some going off the page, so you know it just looks more like a pattern paper, because it's, you know, not everything's perfect in the middle of the page, and I'm really not as well getting too precious about the fact that some of these are in no way, shape or form a circle. You could maybe stamp circles on the background and then paint them in, maybe if you use something like Stays On, or draw them on with a colour fast, you know, water fast paint, something that's not water soluble, pen. But I just like free-forming it like this and just seeing how they go. Like that they're not perfect. I like that there's different layers of paint drying in each of the circles. It just gives it a little bit more interest. So I'm just going to add a couple of more little circles, and then I think we're going to be, oh yeah, go in with some more smaller green ones. I've changed back to the small brush again just to give some smaller green ones. And you can see the water's not holding up very well now, and some blue ones as well. I can see all the mica in the water. Doesn't it look awesome? So yeah, that's the painting I think done now. So I'm going to leave that to dry, get the mat all cleaned up, and then come on to the stamping. The battery has run out on the camera, so you didn't get the beginning of the stamping. So all I've done to begin with is gone in with the that kind of like a giant asterisk crossing across stamp, and popped on some embossing powder, and then you tap that off, and then heat it up. So I'm using VersaMark watermark ink. So this is a sticky embossing pigment ink that takes a while to dry. With the heat gun, I'm only doing it on my skin there because it is stone cold. So you want the heat gun to be hot before you start, going over your embossing powder. So I just do it on like the back of my hand and back of my arm from stone cold until I can feel it getting warm. Don't leave it over your skin too long. It will burn you. Don't put it over there if it's not a stone cold embossing tool. I only do that when I first switch it on because I just want to know when it's got warmed. Because it's just better. It's not going to blow your embossing powder away. If it's cold, you might blow your embossing powder away if you've left it sit for a bit. So you want it hot. But yeah, just don't leave it over your hand too long if you are going to do that. So popped on some of I think it's the bubbles I've done this time. I do in a minute. So what you may see me doing there is I'm like tipping embossing powder all around the sheet. It's because I forget where I've stamped. So I do start stamp, emboss in a minute just to stop that forgetting. So here you go. um, yeah, so it just makes it a little tidier. So I'm not throwing all the embossing powder all over the sheet to do that. I really love making my own backgrounds like this. I really enjoy doing this. It's so relaxing. And sometimes you might get an absolute mess and you hate what you've created. You know what? You cut that up and use it as mats and layers and things. It doesn't matter. And sometimes you're just absolutely delighted with how it's turned out, which I was with this one. I absolutely love this background. And yeah, it's just I might need to do this again with some different colours. Maybe try it with some distress inks or distress oxides next time. We shall see. But yeah, this one when I pop the powder on, I heat it up straight away because it's not coming off the edge of the paper. I think I'm probably going to end up smudging that if I leave that there. So again, just trying to get a couple off the edge of the paper so it looks a little bit more, like a natural end to a pattern paper. I purposefully put that one there because there is a smudge from when I was painting it. I got some ink on my thumbs when I picked the paper up to look at it. Not ink, paint. I'd smudged it, so that's why I've purposefully put that one that's coming off the edge on the left-hand side. So popping the embossed powder off, that's just a piece of copy paper. I've done both the background and that copy paper with a anti-static bag. So it's just that talc stuff. Nothing special. You use like a talcum, I think, is it Hero Arts? It does the little brush with talcum, same thing. So I'm just wiping off, making sure I've got no bits of embossed powder left on there. And then whilst I'm putting one pack away, I notice this little one in the floral set that I think, oh, that'll just be really nice as a tiny accent. So I'm putting the powder on and tipping it off. I've got the copy of paper to the side of me. With this just being quick finishing touch bit on the background paper with this smaller one, I thought, you've seen what I'm doing with that copy paper already. I brought it in each time. You didn't need to see me doing that again. So yeah, just deciding if I need any more here, and I decide actually yes, just one more. A lot of this you're not going to see because it is going to be covered up when I put the pattern paper layers over, but I know it's there and I'm really happy with it. I just really love how that turned out and wish I had taken a picture of it before I started covering it up with lots of different bits. Okay, I'm now deciding what to do. I was thinking I wasn't going to do the same composition, like, the layers of paper and everything that the original piece had on there. I thought, I'd maybe put big, large picture to one side and the smaller ones to the other, so that it's not, all in one bunch. And I've decided I'm just going to put the one piece, the one photo, the main photo of me and Mr. Ding, the cream van behind us, and to the right of Mr. Ding, that was our caravan for the week, I should say. And I think there's like two other rows behind us before you get to the buildings where the entertainment. We've never stopped at this end of the park before, so we've never been this close to the entertainment before. So yeah, we had it was a little noisier in the evenings than we were used to, but you knew it was going to end because it's the entertainment. It stopped at like 11:30, and it was absolutely fine, didn't disturb us. Um, but yeah, so we're just walking up to like the where the bar is where we went for breakfast. We only had breakfast on the camp the first day because the guy, the new guy they had working behind the bar hadn't been there before. He was so miserable, and he was argumentative. Um, he got an order wrong for the guy who's in front of me in the queue, and he just wouldn't have it. He was just arguing with him, and he ended up just storming off without warning and going grabbing the manager. The manager come, fixed it in like 30 seconds. It was just there was no need, and it really ruined the experience because we really like eating up there. The food's not, it's not gourmet, but it's good and we enjoy it. But well, it just meant that we found a little tea room that's actually in Dornoch itself, which was absolutely lovely, and the staff there were amazing. And yeah, they did hack us on the breakfast as well, which they didn't do in on the camp. But they didn't have pancakes. I had pancakes with bacon and strawberries and maple syrup when we were on the camp. Um, which they didn't do in the tea room we found, but we found other stuff that they did for breakfast, which was just as delicious. So yeah, I'll talk more about that when I do day three's layouts. This is just day two now. So I am just using lots of scraps from the bottom of the box that this collection is kept in, um, just to layer up the photo. I just wanted different layers. I didn't want them, anything uniform. Ripped the bottom for interest. And then this piece with the stars on didn't go all the way across, so I have cut a bit off. So I've got it coming out each side of the photo. You don't need a full sheet when you've got something that's going to be covering a chunk of it. And then I've got these two pieces because I thought, it needs to be something with a coloured base to the paper rather than white or cream because it's going against a white background. Background's got a white base. So that's why I've put those strips on it. I do start going through the embellishments, so I do find a sticker that says "Hello New Day," which I thought was quite fitting because this is, first thing in the morning. We've just got up, got dressed, going for a walk up to the restaurant. I've then decided that the bit that panel of paper behind, going horizontally behind the photo is disappearing into the background a bit too much. So I do get a sheet of 12 by 12 on these textured effect, plain backgrounds, plainish, out to then, just as another layer behind the horizontal bit, just to lift it off. It's a bit of separation between the white base, the base of the background. The background's not white, but it's on a white base, isn't it? So I hope you know what I mean. So I decided this needs tearing as well. I do stick it down, and then I end up having to move it because there's too much of a gap. So what I end up doing is I take that off, and then I stick this panel on first, and then I use that as a guide where this other strip is coming behind. Again, didn't have a piece of this striped paper that went as a full layer behind my star panels, but it doesn't matter because again, star panels is covering the gap between the two strips, and then the photos covering the gap between the two star panels. So it just all looks like the one, big pieces of paper. And you can see what I mean there with backing it onto something else just to lift it off the white background. That's the star paper now doesn't disappear into the background. I keep on messing with this because it's not quite far enough over. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go through the embellishments. I had a couple of stickers on. I don't think I like that many on this puffy piece. There's Take a Walk, which I thought was quite good because it's a morning walk up to the bar for breakfast, and then out the papery pack. I do cut these two layers off this ledger notepaper background, just because the whole piece was too big for a layer. So I just cut those, the top 2 layers of it apart from the lined writing paper, and I stick that down and move that details tab to the bottom corner of it. Then in the papery piece, I find this film strip that I want to use, and I'm just auditioning it between different layers to find which layer I want it on. And there we go. It's going to go between the coral and the camera paper. And then I want to use this tag as well. So that's just going to tuck behind a different layer there with the take a walk on top. That take a walk is going to move again. Grab some thread just to go through the hole on the tag, because you know me, I cannot have a naked tag. The thread, actually, happy accident, gets caught up in itself and I end up with a loop at the top, and I really like it, so I've just left it as that. Okay, so a couple of papery bits. I liked this end of the ticket kind of piece, and I really liked this banner, and I thought I can make that work. My glue is packed away at the minute because I'm packing for when you're watching this. When this goes live, I'll actually be in Birmingham at a Vicki Boutin workshop with Nest box kits. So Jackie Ashton and Sarah from Hey Look Magpie, they have a company called Nest Box Kits, and they're hosting Vicki Boutin this weekend for classes in Birmingham in the UK. So I'm going to be there when this goes live on Saturday morning. So yeah, I've lost my train of thought. I don't know why I said that. Oh yeah, so that's why I didn't have my glue handy to stick that banner, and I ended up making a bit of a mess of the back of it with my ATG. That's where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought for a minute then. So just adding a couple of little bit more stickers, added the date onto the tag. I will do the journaling later, and then I'm going to disappear off for a moment now, go and get my black Dial Illusions ink just to add some splatters. So the photos I haven't used, I put them face down as a layer, some splatters, and then we're done. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.